Hey everyone, welcome to a conversation on a new series. We're starting a brand new series this week on First Kings, going old school.
Is that just like all of Old Testament is old school?
Yeah, that's what the kids say when they refer to the Old Testament.
Old school?
Yeah.
They are cooler than me. I just want to say, since we talked about old school and the kids, Greg was at a fun college event yesterday, and where he is at is really close to North Central, and so he told the college students he wanted to have the biggest table there, right? Like you want to have the most people there, which is fun because we don't normally, but to help them, we have fun.
Oh.
We don't usually have the most people at our table. But to help him, they printed pictures of him. They put it under doors of kids in the dorms.
It's on the ceiling of the dorm room hallway now.
It's on the ceiling of the dorm room hallway. Somebody slid them under the doors of the students. Can you find this man or something? Is that what they said?
It just says corner coffee.
So I thought one of them said...
It's just
they're walking around going...
Oh, that's right.
Quarter coffee.
Have you seen this man?
I wanted it to say Pastor Greg.
Oh, yes.
So
I did get called Pastor Greg 4 times.
Pastor
I
corner
love it.
coffee.
It was great though, because they were all hanging out for a long time. So people would come up and be like, "Tell me about your church," and I would just say,
Kids?
"Talk to Jessica,"
Oh, I love it.
which is great.
That's super good.
It was fun.
That's fun.
The face was a lot, but they
I
had
think
fun.
it's the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
It was
it was
like
fun for them. It's great.
It was fun for them. That is what
fun for
matters.
me. Pastor.
That's better. Go right to the last name.
Starting a new series. Rachel, can you give us an overview of Kings? Because you prepped the kind of the focus of this series.
Do you? I
I
can
do it.
Okay.
I can do it.
Okay.
But you can fill in.
No,
'Cause-
What's happening?
No, he's laughing because I feel mentally like life has exploded. Scott has helped me up quite a bit. with
Team
it
Xer.
before. Yeah, Team Xer. But okay, so
Okay,
Kings
boomers.
happens. There's nothing wrong with boomers. I'm
We're
just
going
not
old
one of
school.
them. So Kings is coming after Samuel. And it's interesting because the first bit of Kings talks a lot about David and where David's at health wise. He's not doing so good. He's dying. He's old. He's frail. He can't keep warm anymore. But that first part, it actually goes back into Samuel. And it starts with the story of Bathsheba. And that's when David meets a woman, sort of, and decides that she should be his wife.
Are you doing the VeggieTales version?
I'm doing the VeggieTales version of this. And he decides she should be his wife. He has her husband killed and marries her, and they have a kid, and the first baby dies, and then they have a second kid who is Solomon. And this story begins there. Like it begins in the previous book with the story of Bathsheba and Solomon's life. And some of the Old Testament Jewish scholars that I was reading about actually kind of says this beginning part, Solomon is becoming king. It's a transition of power. And it's almost an apology to Solomon, an apology to kind of what his life was. And so it's an interesting, it's an interesting like moment how it wraps up Samuel, but it's also the start of the new. And so Kings is going through all of these kings, from David to basically the last king, the fall of Jerusalem. And they believe the Messiah is going to be one of David's descendants, but none of these kings are that.
Is it this one?
It's definitely not this one.
Is it this one?
No, it's none of them. And most of the kings struggle quite a bit. There's only like just a couple kings that they would say were really good kings. The kingdom splits in this book. It becomes the northern and southern kingdom. Prophets are introduced more in this book. Prophets already existed, but in the middle of the book, it shows such a strong need for prophets because the kings really don't know how to lead that well. Just having a birthright doesn't exactly make you... They aren't being prepared to be kings. Like we were joking about... we're talking about, the most famous monarchy right now would be like Queen Elizabeth and King Charles and all of them. And it seems like their whole life is being prepared to become the next monarch and the king. And like when I look at Prince William, I'm like, everything he does is in preparation to be the king. And this is not that. There is, I don't know, maybe there is preparation, but it's more about, I don't know. They're not being taught to lead well.
Yeah.
I mean, if they are, they're not doing it.
Kill those who oppose you.
Yeah.
You're ready.
Yeah. And then like, yeah, exactly. And there's power grabs throughout it, because we start in First Kings with the oldest son that's still living, Adonijah, because the previous older sons had been killed in Samuel.
Yeah,
and
by their siblings.
By their siblings, which is great. Again, they're doing a good job. And so Adonijah is the oldest living one, and he assumes he's going to become the next king. He might have known he wasn't supposed to. He might not have. We don't really know. But Solomon is actually supposed to become the next king. So there's this power grab by Adonijah. It doesn't go so well. Bathsheba intervenes with Nathan, and then they go to King David and say, "Isn't Solomon? You promised Solomon was supposed to be the next king." And so they are able to right that ship for a minute, for maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It doesn't really stay great. But so this is that story. That first chapter is the story of transition from David. And also what's interesting is if you go back and see the comparison of how David is being described in old age to Abraham being described in old age. When Abraham's in old age, he is described as happy. He gets remarried. He has a few more kids. He's living his best life. David is like just trying to stay warm. He's not doing so good. He's so frail, and it's not it's not ending well for him.
Yeah.
So
that's right, great for mush.
For mush, I do mush brain real well.
I do. David has, to this point in his life, has been painted this picture of being power, strength, leadership, and an incredible warrior. You know, harkening back to his the made Saul so angry. It said the pop song of the day was Saul kills hundreds, but David kills thousands. Yeah, which is wouldn't fit through the parent controls of your Spotify list or whatever. But what a song it was! But so David is this picture of power and strength, and then you turn to First Kings, and he's the exact opposite of that. He's no longer this domineering, big, powerful figure. And leading into this whole book is is this king going to be the one that rights the ship, that follows through Abraham's promise that we would be, again, as God's people, that we be living and serving him under his blessing. Maybe it'll be this king. And David's life comes to an end, and it's pretty heavy that he wasn't it wasn't perfect. The temple wasn't built because he was told, well, you've actually killed too many people, so your son, that was the ordination of Solomon, is that your son will build the temple. And so here he was fading into obscurity, and like you said, the power grab rises to the surface. And in the midst of this big transition, as Solomon is coming to the table, as you said, Adonijah grabs onto the throne, declares himself king. He's very selective in who he invites to his big party. And but the thing that remarkable to me in all of this is that, then you said it is for a minute. So after all of these interactions, Adonijah has been called out. King David sits up in his hospice bed.
Basically, yeah.
Sits up and he goes, he has there's some weird, Solomon was not set up for success. I have this list of things that are just how Solomon was set up for a bad day. Yeah. His dad was dying. It's a notable thing. His dad didn't communicate to his half-brother about his intentions, his purpose, or God's intentions and purpose. So that's not great. Adonijah, his brother, who wasn't communicated to, was just running with the idea that he was the king. He declared it. And in doing so, he didn't invite people that would stand against him, which included Solomon, which included Nathan the prophet. After some awkward conversations with his dad, which is also not a great setup, from his mom and from the prophet, again, he sits up and goes, Solomon, you're king. So that isn't necessarily a great... Yeah. So you're king, somebody else thinks they're king because you didn't tell them they're not king. Yeah. Good job, Dad. Good job, Dad.
Well, even when he tells Solomon to be king, and then I think Nathan, the prophet, tells Adonijah he's not the king. Like, his dad still didn't do that.
Yeah.
He also didn't say, hey, actually, no, sorry, buddy.
Yep.
Like,
so the celebration for Solomon begins, and now Adonijah, he comes to his brother freaking out because, please don't kill me.
Mhm.
Please don't kill me. Which is a very intense request. Now, all of those negative things being set up, the thing that is remarkable is that, and we'll kind of process in this, I think this is a beautiful moment, and it comes with an asterisk, but Solomon goes, listen, if you do what's right, you'll live, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. And so, I mean, for us to process, what does it take for when you're set up for a less than ideal circumstance? What does it take to be gracious after not being set up to be gracious? What helps a person remain grounded in peace and take meaningful action in less than ideal circumstances? I think is life is full of them, and it's so hard. So, how the people that do it, how do they do it?
I've been really thinking about, like, I was talking to someone yesterday about because I've been doing these interviews with people that are going to become pastors, and we were talking a little bit about how do you respond in conflict and things like that. And there's so much value in becoming secure in who God created you to be. Like, and not saying we ever fully figured that out, but like when you are building security in like who you're created to be, like whether that's whatever your personality is or your values, like we all have to grow. But like I would say there's some things I'm really good at and there's things I'm really bad at. And other people in this room are really good at the things that I'm bad at and maybe not as good at the things I'm good at.
So we're going to go around the room and say all the things you're bad at?
I think we all know. There's a list somewhere, I'm sure. But I think like when I can say, I know that I'm really good at this, and I don't do this well, but when I can do that, when I can say, I know I'm really good at this, or I know I'm not really good at this, like I can be a lot more confident in how I handle conflict because I mean, there's humility in that, but there's also a security in like, this is who God created me to be. And if I can own that and not feel so threatened in my failures or so, you know what I mean? All of those things, I feel like I can handle the day a lot better.
Yeah, that probably is a part of Solomon's grace in this moment, was to understand his position and understand his position of strength.
Yeah.
And also to understand how he wasn't, set up for failure. I don't know, just curious if, like, this has been this is a season, but there's endless seasons where we're set up, or people are set up to be wrathful.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody is not wrathful to people or circumstances, when people don't freak out, I don't know. Other than just being a good person can be an answer, but how do people do it? How do people be gracious in the midst of a moment that even would be allowed to be wrathful?
None of us.
Well, I just think like how you perceive yourself and others really matters. If you agree that all have fallen short of ideal, it's a lot easier to be graceful. When you go, I probably have done something equally as bad or worse, or I've messed up, or I've had my fair share. I think when you think you're owed something or you think you deserve something, that sets you up to be more wrathful or mean, or pride also plays a lot into it. So I think there's a lot of different things that can play into, but I think it mostly revolves around self-perception. If you think what you think about yourself impacts the way that you treat those around you, for sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I think Adonijah in this moment, like, he definitely thinks he's owed something. Like, he's the oldest. He just assumes, of course, I'm going to be the next king. Like, it seems like maybe that's the way it's been in other countries at that time, or I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. But
I don't know much about monarchy, but I think that's how it works.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah. At least now, you know? And so, like, he definitely feels he's owed something, but also, like, the pride is what really knocks, like, the pride. And I mean, his dad isn't even dead yet, and he decides he's king. And so nobody has said, hey, you're king. Like, nobody's done that, but he just assumes that he can take over. And I feel like there is such, I mean, when you step into, I mean, there are some really complicated moments where you have to step into leadership in something. And sometimes it's right, and sometimes somebody else goes, no, actually not for you, you know, or like,
how do you know? How do you?
I don't know.
But I think the thing that's, I mean, from what you said,
Because like you get giving him the most benefit of the doubt possible.
Yeah.
Dad could have the reason that David didn't do all the things he was supposed to do is maybe he had dementia. And maybe he's going, Dad ain't got this no more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look out for my country and take over.
I mean, if he did, and then Bathsheba came in and was like, "You promised." I mean, who knows? This story
it's
could have
complicated. There's so much to be
yeah, but it's the thing that's really cool about this narrative is that its complexity points to the complexity that we all walk in all the time. And so, when there's a moment when, again, to like how things are supposed to work. That's easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to work.
Yeah. And it's very easy to communicate to people that'll cheer you on and avoid people that may say, "Nah, it's not really a good thing to do."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if I wore a fedora in here today, and I'm not going to.
But we'd all enjoy it.
You got to surround yourself with people that say, "What are you doing?" You have those two elements, but you also have just your ego not being in check. All these things. This is. You don't have to be next in line to king to have these things happening.
Oh, 100%.
And so, again, how do you have a loop? How do you build yourself a loop in your life where you don't make stupid decisions that are just selfish, where your self-perception is that I better grab this because the taking is good. And if I don't now, I'll never have a chance again. But that can be a scary grab.
I think there's so many times, like I felt this yesterday about something that was neighborhood related. I remember feeling like there's just this moment where I was like, I felt somebody taking something from me, you know, and that's just honest. I'll be honest. But like, you have to check yourself in those moments because the goal is not to like hold everything tightly. Like the goal is to find somebody else to take on the things. And yeah, I think there has to be like when you feel that like, for me at least, when you feel like that moment of like, oh, I have to control this or I have to hold on tight to it, like there's something in me, I feel like that's happening. And so I do think, I think there's something that I have to do myself because I'm going to feel that feeling before anybody even sees it. Not always. Sometimes other people see it. But I also think, you need somebody else to go, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, and that's, so Adonijah, oldest son, living son of David. Mm-hmm. It could be definitely a moment where you don't have many people keeping you in check. And so it's just a moment of just like you said, just to verbalize, hey, here's where I'm at. What a huge step in the process of of keeping character, being a person of peace, keeping a grounded perspective of reality in the midst of chaotic circumstances or less than ideal circumstances.
Well, in Adonijah, I mean, in the Bible, it says that nobody corrected him. Nobody, what is
David.
it? David, his dad, never said, why are you acting like that? Or something. I mean, that's my version. But basically something like that. So there wasn't all his life. So
I've seen parents like that before.
Yeah, all of us have, I think. That say, why are you acting like that? Or don't say, why are you acting like that?
I've never told their kids no.
Yeah. And that, like, what does that do to you as an adult? You become a little entitled. You become Adonijah. You think, I should be the king, which that's a hard way to do life. It doesn't really work. It doesn't work out for him. That's next week.
Solomon has
foreshadowing.
Solomon has this moment of peace, and Solomon is now he's having his own new king party. David is still alive and still functioning. We'll see in the next chapter he has his last words and gives some directions. But Solomon is having his own party as the new ordained whatever king, and he has this opportunity to exercise wrath on his brother, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Now, this is the asterisk, and so we are going to celebrate this moment of this momentary peace, momentary rationale. But for those of you who read ahead, Adonijah doesn't make it through the end of chapter 2 before he's killed. His life is taken. But we have to celebrate moments, but then really this is a moment to the whole heart of Kings is that, David wasn't the Messiah through his lineage, but is Solomon the Messiah? He has some issues. And so the issues they come very quickly. And so I think again, it's very important to keep pointing towards Christ, to the Messiah, and that story of the woman caught in the act of adultery. So this is a less than ideal circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a woman that there is a real failing. They're trying to trap Jesus. It's all, it is so far from ideal, as the situation that Solomon was in. And, this story where Jesus demonstrates that there is life change is a part of it, but grace in the midst of a less than ideal circumstance is so beautiful. And then encouraging, he actually, by saying, hey, whoever has not sinned, let that person throw the first stone.
Mm-hmm.
He actually was giving opportunity for all the leaders there to exercise grace. And so the oldest to the youngest, they left that place, and it was just the two of them, the woman and Jesus, left there at the end. And really, he asked, well, where are those that condemn you? And that declaration, it's kind of been new to me in this processing of this, is that Jesus shows incredible grace to this woman, but probably the most beautiful of it is that Jesus actually opened the door for all these other people to show grace to this woman. And so as we think about, again, Solomon's moment of grace to his brother, we should also see that there's opportunity for us to be gracious everywhere, but also to encourage others to be gracious as well.
I think one of my, I'm not going to say it right because I can never remember all the words, but there's a verse in Ephesians that talks about how to treat each other. And it's bearing with one another in love, make every effort to keep the unity. But there's also this idea of like, just and maybe this isn't the right verse.
For as much as it depends on you.
Yeah.
Live at peace with everyone.
Yeah.
Romans.
And it's like, but it's like there is recognizing how to have grace on each other. And how to, like, knowing that people are going to make mistakes. And I would say I'm not very good at this. But there is, how do we keep, I like the word bearing with one another in love, like making every effort to keep the unity. How do we go, okay, yeah, that person definitely screwed that up. And like, I need to have grace on them and love them. And, what does that look like? How do I keep relationship with somebody in those moments? And I don't know.
And I would so easy for me to just go, wait. I can do all that as long as I'm set up well.
Yeah.
And then life happens.
Yeah.
And that is part of the beauty of this narrative that First Kings starts with, is that this was so far from ideal.
Yeah.
And that call for grace still exists.
So I think a lot of times, the temptation is to judge a person by their mistakes instead of their underlying character, because everyone's going to screw up.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in the performing arts world, when you're at an audition and you mess up, that is a good indicator. How you handle that is a great indicator to the director. If they see you mess up and then they see you recover, well, that's more valuable to them because they see the character underneath. They see this person can handle themselves even when there's a mistake and when circumstances are less than ideal.
Yeah.
And so they don't judge the mistake necessarily, but they judge the character underneath, and they say, oh, this person is good. And that's how we have to, judge the person underneath, the character underneath, not, every time they mess up.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
That's so good. And there's no greater opportunity to have mess ups be in the spotlight than when there's a transition of power. And so,
amen to that.
And so that's, it's the power of just having these things said there's power in that. But to see it in narrative and see it played out and then bring it to our own story is really important.
I like it. You got to wrap up?
I think that everything ties into this, but the idea of Sermon on the Mount, when we were talking about like the focus to be holy, to be like Christ, to all these things, it shows itself a little bit even in here. Solomon replied, if he shows himself to be worthy, he won't be harmed. But if he's evil, he will die. Now that's a little bit more extreme than we have today, but there's a moment where he goes, and this person can go on, and I hope that they grow and have good character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that we can tie back, even in the not ideal of the situation. There was a crappy thing that happened. Now how will people respond?
Yeah.
And it's cool for us to be able to look back and go, well, hopefully we grow and have good character and don't die.
Don't.
You know, and then, yeah, I want to live. But yeah, it's good. I'm very excited for these. The end of First Kings, beginning of Second Kings is one of my favorite parts of the entire Bible. So
Nice.
I like it.
We'll see you guys next week.
bye.